Story 1. I've written a couple books about the dark web, which means I've spent a bit of pretty much every day of the past 8 years poking around about inside. Over the years, I spoke to, interviewed, and even visited many dark web identities, drug dealers and operators of darknet, marketers mostly. I attended the trial of one of the most evil people on the planet, Lux, the owner of Hurt to the Core, and turned out to be a friendless, unhappy kid who built his evil empire from his childhood bedroom, with his parents blissfully unaware of what was happening under their noses. The only time I've ever felt any slight danger, despite all this nosing around in there, was when I helped uncover a hitman scam. The owner of Bessa's Mafia, well, the most profitable murder-for-hire site in history, came after me from when I started writing about them. He made loads of threats, and I quote, "You don't know who I am, but I know who you are, where you live." But that wasn't scary, as I had access to the back door of his site thanks to a friendly hacker friend, and knew he didn't really want to hurt anybody. It took a bit of darker turns when he told the people he had signed up to work as a hitman on his site, and who he made video themselves burning cars with signs on them just to advertise how legit his site was, then never sent them to the promised money for doing so. And he tried to say that I was the owner of the site who had ripped them off. That could have become ugly, but luckily even the thugs weren't dumb enough to believe him. The only other time I've been a bit nervous was when Homeland Security wanted to have a, quote, friendly chat with me on one of my trips to the US to attend a trial. They were very friendly, but scary. Story 2. Well, I was a very casual orderer of the dark web for a while, and got pretty big into it and started buying slightly bulky packages of drugs. If you knew the market for a while, then you would know one called Alpha Bay. It was the best of the best, the Amazon of the drugs, and would be its best description. However, it went down mysteriously one day, and everyone assumed the owners just scammed everyone for their Bitcoin, which was partially true, but in the background, it was actually seized by the DEA. Everyone flocked to a new site called Hansa, which had some sketchy design features, but it was the next best alternative. Turns out, the Dutch police took over that site and, with cooperation of multiple governments, ran a drug distribution onion site with over $1 million of transactions for around a month. They were gathering information from unsuspecting users, including me, who bought with faulty security practices. Now, this is where I start freaking out. Imagine trafficking drugs through the mail, and at the Attorney General at the time, Jeff Sessions, makes a speech live on television that he was going to crack down, and explicitly explains how ducked everyone on Hansa was, because they've been gathering data for over a month. And in a big ol' energy move, closes the site and puts up a banner in it to play saying everyone whose purchase will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. During his live speech, I was absolutely crapping myself for a month, as many arrests did occur, but luckily, I guess I wasn't important enough. Nothing ever happened to me. Story number 3. I own a fairly rare car that has a rare error code. I looked it up on Google, and there was only one other person on the car market forum that had the same error. And this guy took months and months going back and forth between car shops and the forum thread to try to get the issue fixed. Everyone on the forum was pitching in just to try to help. So I kept going through this long forum thread to try to figure out if he's ever gotten it fixed. And suddenly there was no more replies from the guy. Everyone was scratching their head for a while, and we thought he had maybe just gotten the issue fixed and didn't bother to update us. Then one day, a news article pops up about a really rich guy who died in a Thailand jail cell, and then we connected the two stories and they matched. The same make and model of the car in the news article matched up precisely with the forum car, and they were both claiming to be in Thailand. So, What happened was, that same guy who was still talking on the forums got raided by the Thai police. Around the same time he stopped replying on the forum. Got raided by the Thai police around the same time he stopped replying to the forum. Turns out that he was running one of the biggest dark web marketplaces where drugs were being sold and exchanged. It had something like $1 million in revenue per day. And he was hiding out in Thailand while living a life of luxury. They found him dead in his jail cell a few days later, and they claimed he died. Well, he killed himself. Story number 4. Religious Silk Road user here. I used to get the stuff delivered to my dorm, but the package did not come directly to my room. I'm not a rookie. I had to go pick it up from my dorm's building office. For my 3rd or 4th order from Silk Road, I got an email saying that a package had arrived for me, but when I went to pick it up, I was told by a RA that my package was in the DOR's office. Well, I freaked out. I also, for some reason, was getting a lot of spam calls, which just added to my anxiety. I was scared crapless. I did not go pick it up for like 4 days, and meanwhile just kept getting emails from the DOR's office to come get my package. I didn't go, because I thought it was a setup. But after a couple days, I said duck it and went to pick up my package. I paid a lot of Bitcoin for that order, and wanted to consume what I've ordered. When I get there, I realized I was freaking out for absolutely no reason. The people holding on to my order could not have been nicer. They couldn't give me a reason why the package was delivered there and not to my dorm, so I just kept ordering more. Edit. The package was also delivered by the USPS Priority, which is run by the federal government, and I went to a state university, so technically, the federal government transported funny stuff to the state government for me, LMAO. Story number 5. About a year ago, I was in a nice house that my grandpa had built himself. I was in the basement one day, and the door was outside the house like one of those tornado movies. Anyways, there were some plastic containers on the shelves with holes cut into them. There were 4 or 5 of these open crates, and they were also hay inside, like there was supposed to be some kind of animal in there, but with no way of keeping it there since the sides were cut out. I asked my grandpa about it, and he said that the previous owners were very paranoid about everything and almost never paid their rent. Behind one of their top shelf crates, there was a computer, like a full-blown $2,000 computer. So, I told my grandpa about the computer, and he said that the owner skipped town, so he could not get their contact details to come and get it. Well, I took the computer upstairs and plugged it in just to see if it worked. It turned right on. No password. The only icon on the desktop was Tor. For those who don't know, Tor is a browser you can have to access the dark, deep web. The computer had a 4 terabyte hard drive, and I took a brief look into the files. In the video files, there was a massive list of videos, which itself is not unusual, until I saw the names of each video. It instantly sent chills throughout my body. One was named Allison, one was named Tiffany. I clicked on one of the videos hoping it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was a 15-minute video of black screen and no audio, and towards that point I felt like I was being watched, although there wasn't a webcam. I don't think I'd ever want to meet the previous owners. Story number 6. Well, I kinda hope this gets buried. Well, here it is. When I heard about the dark web, I had to see it for myself. I had a vague story and a vague history of Silk Road, and started with, I think, Agora? Bitcoin was less than $200 a coin. I became a dealer almost immediately after. Agora was special and trusted by many. Well, Abraxas came along and was a good alternative, and I was swallowed by this world and the insane revenue potential, and I was hooked on the life. I moved up the chain and sold psychedelics and was respected in my spiritual work. Some friends would go to raves and flip molly. Spring break was coming up, and well, when it came to the crew, went down and one less came back. 200 mollies were found in his car, and the police DEA went nuts. They followed us for months, undercover, and they only cared about the molly. They respected my hustle and double life as a psychedelic guru, and I was even bold enough to sell to informants. I was never raided, but eventually I was caught slipping and arrested for MDMA. I live in a small city and over the years have developed quite a history. My time on the streets made me super recognized by everyone, even cops that I'd have multiple encounters with. MDA in the States is rare, let alone getting caught with it, so everyone has a vastly different opinion. Agora respectively left because of faulty security. Everyone else pulled an exit scam, and everyone knew the government caught up. They could track bitcoins, they shut down websites, nothing was untouchable, except Alphabay. I tried Alphabay early and never trusted it, but as the competition went away, Alphabay began to invest in itself, and became the new powerhouse. I used it for a while. After years of using the post, my name got hot. Customs was catching on, and the Netherlands and some international parcels. I began to only receive mail that was domestic. My name was hot. I had a few hundred mollies set to arrive, and they never came. Instead, my father gets an email from somebody in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah, the FBI. And I guess they had a vague understanding in their own professions. I don't know. Basically, he tasked my old man with bringing me into the station for questions regarding matters of national security. So I went. Turns out I sold Bitcoin to a terrorist. The interview was polite, but they let me know that they saw my private Instagram. They knew my underground involvements, and what they did not know was why Muhammad sent me $500 6 months ago and what I did with it, so I showed receipts and was fine. I was told I should not go into that line of work, and they told me I could leave. Well, I sold more drugs. I did more time and got my head out of my butt finally. The FBI and DEA basically wiped out the underground market and now the fuel it. We understand our government and the war on drugs. The feds own the deep web. They can track every phone call, any text in the world. They can track Bitcoin. Nobody's safe. Story number 7. Well, last month I bought a mystery box from the dark web just for fun. There was a few butter knives, an old DVD player in working condition, and one doll, and some other significant non-thing. I threw everything away except for the DVD player because I had some of my old CDs I wanted to check. So, I go to connect the DVD player to my TV and it didn't work. Well, it was almost 11 p.m. on the clock. I turned off the TV in the room and went to bed. Around 2 o'clock, I woke up as I was thirsty and went to the kitchen. Along the way, I passed in front of the DVD player. The room was dark, and from the corner of my eye, I saw a faint red light coming straight from the DVD player. I got scared as the player was no longer connected to the circuit, and I quickly turned on the lights, and with the help of a screwdriver, popped open the DVD player. What was inside was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. There was this miniature camera with a little battery attached to it. I quickly removed the small battery and put the camera into a dark box. My first instinct was to call police, but I waited till the next morning, and the next day I took that camera to my friend's shop just to check what type of camera it was and if anything was recorded. I found out that the camera, it was not in working condition, or maybe the camera broke when the product was being transported. But the camera was designed that it records videos without any voice, up to 24 hours long, and the videos can be recorded with it, and the small battery provides enough energy that it provides the camera just enough life for 8 hours worth of footage. With this camera being connected, when the DVD player is connected, the camera automatically starts its timer. This was such a sick joke, which failed due to low-quality products. I was relieved that the camera broke in the process, so I called the cops, document the entire episode, and threw the camera away.